Bonjour, relatives. Shangwewe Kamigu Queen Indigenous. I'm Jamie Kellicut, and we are live with Emotional Sobriety. And I have just started our smudge for this evening so that we can start off in a really good way. Here's some smudge for all of you. And if you have your own smudge, this would be a really great time to start that up, to find a way to get yourself nice and grounded for this evening. Maybe have some water, tea. Take a couple deep breaths. It is the end of the week. It is Friday. We are live for Emotional Sobriety with HIR Wellness Institute. And welcome, relatives. We are so glad that you are here. It is so wonderful to be here with you. I am our Community Engagement and Indigenous Affairs Director, and every Friday I come together with my colleagues here so that we can talk about recovery and healthy coping and how do we navigate this space of COVID-19. And so without further ado, I would love to bring Xavier, bring your voice into this space. Now that you're grabbing a cup of tea, how are you doing, Xavier?
I am doing well, Jamie. Thank you for asking. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. It has been a long week. We have made it to the end or the beginning for some. As always, we welcome each and every one of you here. My name is Xavier. I am a community healer and counselor here at HIR Wellness. So I am everywhere, dabbling in everything from individual therapy to doing these Facebook Lives, which I absolutely love. Being able to just be with the community, to hold space, to provide some teachings on mental health and what it looks like and how we can just normalize talking about our feelings, because let's be honest, we all have them. So we might as well talk about them,
Yeah.
get it out the way, right? And learn some ways that we can um, just deal and cope with them a little bit better. And as Jamie said, we take this time every Friday to talk about emotional sobriety, right? How can we deal with maintaining just wellness while dealing with recovery, as well as dealing with COVID-19 and this pandemic and the uncertainty. So as always, I'm happy to be here, happy to spend this time with you all. With that, I will pass to John.
Yeah, thank you so much, Xavier and Jamie. Hi, relatives. My name is John, and I am a social work intern. You may have kind of seen me from the Children's Fire Book Club, or also on Friday mornings for R&R. I am also the moderator. And then for every emotional sobriety, I am also the moderator as well. So I welcome anyone who feel free to kind of comment, let us know anything. Feel free to kind of share your knowledge and your insight with us too in the comment section. And again, every time I see a comment section, I will always let us know. We can always thank you or, talk about it if needed. So feel free to kind of let us know how you're feeling. And thank you for being here every Friday and just supporting us. And, we're healing and we're helping you heal at the same time. So it's not just a journey for you in healing, it's everyone's journey. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining our journey as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you both. Thank you, Xavier. Thank you, John. That was a wonderful introduction. For anyone who has just joined us, relatives, we are so glad that you are here. If this is your first time, oh my gosh, welcome. We are so happy that you have joined us. And relatives, if this is your who knows how many times, ever since the pandemic started, we've been doing this. And so it used to be wellness weekends, and then it was wellness Fridays, and now we have emotional sobriety. And we've all, since the pandemic started, we have had conversations about recovery, about walking the red road, about healing healthy coping skills, about what does our healing look like? What does that look like? And what happens when we're having those really tough times? What do we do? Where do we go to? What kind of tools do we have? And what we've been talking about the last 3-4 weeks is anger. We've been talking all about anger. And before we get into the book, what I would love is if we always start with a meditation. So we want to bring our elder's voice into this space. And John, if you would be willing to read our elder's meditation for today, that would be wonderful.
Yep, I would love to. And just
Thank
give
you,
me
John.
1 second, relatives. I will be posting the Elders Meditation into the comment section as well, just so that way you can kind of go back and, feel free to read along or reflect back on that. And then Jamie is showing us the book. So the Elders Meditation for today is, I have always searched for my people, for my place and my people. And that's for Wendy Rose. And I believe it's pronounced Happy Miwok. For every human being to feel connected, we must have the feeling of belonging. That is one of the values and benefits of a culture. It creates it creates the feeling of belonging. If for some reason, while you were growing up, you did not develop the feeling of belonging, a search will be triggered, and a relentlessness will be present in your heart. You will have a hole inside you, something missing until you find your place and your people. Remember, we can get this feeling of belonging when we realize we belong to the Great Spirit and that He really loves us. My Creator, today, I belong to you. Let me feel your presence. Thank you.
Miigwech. Thank you, John. Thank you for
Thank you.
that meditation. I just want to hold space for just a moment for us to think about that. And I ask you, relatives, was there anything about that meditation that sat with you? Anything at all? And if there was, and if you're comfortable, please let us know. We would love to hear from you. We would love to hear what your thoughts are. I will share just a bit. What I was connecting to with that meditation was the feeling of belonging and what that feels like when you do arrive somewhere that you really feel connected to, that you really feel within your spirit, within like every part of your being, that you belong. And I recognize that that is not the case for everybody, that not everybody feels that. And I feel very blessed to say that here in this circle with HIR Wellness Institute, that we do all belong, that we do all matter, and that we are all enough. And so that's kind of what I'm sitting with. I think I'm sitting with gratitude right now for the spaces that do accept everyone, that say, yes, you belong. You belong. You are worthy. What about either of you, Xavier or John? Is anything kind of sitting with you about that meditation?
I can share, and I'm on the same thing as you, just the feelings of like belonging and just kind of, especially if you feel like you don't belong, whether it's your sexual orientation or just your, views on just your perspective. Maybe you're religious, maybe you're not religious and your family are religious. And just that sense of like that tension of, I know I don't belong and you don't fit in. Just understand that, it's okay to not fit into the mold of what others want you to be. It's okay to be yourself. And it's like what the state about, searching for, a place of belonging. You will find a place of belonging. And here at Her Wellness, like what Jamie said, you do belong. Everyone belongs here at Her Wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And we just want you to know that.
Thank you, John.
Mm.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Jamie, for sharing as well. Yeah, I resonate with everything that both of you were saying. I think what's standing out to me is the second sentence, um, where it talks about, in terms of feeling connected and belonging, right? That the importance of values and the benefits of a culture, and how that creates the feeling of belonging.
Mm.
Um, and with that, my mind just kind of goes into, um, many, many different thoughts from, the historical trauma that um, many of our indigenous relatives, Black, brown relatives, have had to endure, and how that has stripped, right, of our culture, and this sense of, not really feeling like we fit in, or
Mm.
at least for myself, right? Feeling like I fit in anywhere, or having to do too much, right, to fit in with certain groups and certain crowds. But that it isn't until we come back to um, our own teachings, our own ways, that we can begin to really find a sense of oneness, a sense of belonging, a sense of peace, and really allow ourselves to begin the healing that we are truly seeking and needing. Um, so that's what stood out to me, just
Mm.
um, from that meditation. So
That's beautiful. Thank you, Xavier. Thank you. That, yes, that is, as you were talking, I was thinking about how I've spent many years in these difficult spaces because I didn't have the cultural connection. That I knew innately within me that there was a spirit, that I knew that there was a greater, a higher power. I knew that I was connected to certain aspects of my culture, but I didn't necessarily have the language for it. I didn't have the teachings for it. And how beautiful that feels when you are able to come back to that, to the original teachings or the original ways of where your family comes from, whatever that is. Yeah, very comforting, very warm and spirit filling and heart filling. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that into this space. Thank you. And relatives, if ever at all you want to send us a comment or tell us something that's on your mind or that's resonating with you, please do let us know. We really, really want to hear from you. And each week we also bring in our workbook. So the workbook that we're working out of is called Maintaining Emotional Sobriety During COVID-19, Transforming Trauma into Post-Traumatic Growth. And this is a book by Tian Dayton. And every week we just take a little bit of it and we talk about it. We process it. We find out what you're thinking. We give our opinions on different aspects. And this will be the week where we kind of finalize and wrap up anger. Last week we talked about the rage state of anger. And we're going to continue on a little bit with that. And we'll talk a little bit about some of those symptoms, some of those ways that we do express anger that maybe we're not used to hearing. Maybe we're not used to thinking of certain behaviors as being a part of anger. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. Xavier, John, and I will bring our thoughts into it and our own experiences. And then we'll kind of wrap up for the evening. So why don't we get into it? How about it? So I'm going to read a little bit and then we'll talk. Okay? We have pretty much been taught that anger is a bad thing to express, which can make us imagine that it's bad to even feel it. But anger is actually very important. It gets a bad reputation because it can also easily get out of control. And when it does, we can become nasty, cold, manipulative, with no conscience or even abusive. But anger is also an important source of information to the self. It lets us know when we've been hurt and if our boundaries have been stepped on. Gaining some level of self regulation around our anger can be a game changer in our ability to be comfortable in our own skin and happy in our relationships. We become capable of intimacy that doesn't obliterate the boundaries and thus self of another person while still making room for ourselves. There are few emotions that can more successfully knock a hole in your emotional sobriety more than anger. But then on the other hand, we probably don't ever become truly emotionally sober without learning to make friends with and regulate this very core emotion that tells us so much about where our inner boundaries lie. While anger can feel, and in many ways, be better than being stuck in a depressive state, it needs to be brought into consciousness and understood. It needs to be tamed. Feeling our anger and getting honest and humble about how it shows up in our lives is a first step in getting to know yourself and your own anger. Yes. So before we get into that, because there's a lot there that we can talk about, I want to go through a couple of what we call in our workbook an anger floor check. And what that is it's a list of words that represent different behaviors or ways of being, right? That are connected to anger. And maybe some of these resonate with you, maybe not, and that's okay. I just want you to kind of listen to what these words are. If you have a journal or a notebook, this would be a great time to maybe get some a pen or pencil or marker or crayon, whatever, and jot down notes if something is resonating with you so that you can get into the conversation with us. Or maybe it's just something that'll be helpful for you to think about and reflect on for later. So some of those words are passive aggression, cynicism, negativity, whining, complaining, resentment, criticism, rage, self-medication, acting out behaviors, violence, stonewalling, depression, withdrawal, coldness, shunning. And there's others too. And that would be a time where we could even just think about for ourselves, like where does that how does that connect with me? What do I do when I'm feeling really angry? What happens? Maybe some of those pieces that I just mentioned are things that are happening or that do happen. And what is that last sentence that Tion Dayton writes? Feeling our anger and getting honest and humble about how it shows up in our lives is a first step in getting to know yourself and your own anger. That's really important. That's really important, relatives. The healing journey that we are all on, you know what we're doing? We're finding out all about ourselves. We're figuring out how do we relate in this world? What do we connect to? What is showing up? What is showing up for us? And being honest about that. Because it isn't a bad thing to be angry. We can legitimately be angry about something. And we can be honest about that. And then we can determine how are we going to react? What kind of conversation are we going to have? Or what, even before that, what does that anger mean? So it's shown up, it's here. What does that mean? What is it telling you? What is it telling you? What's going on in the environment? What's going on with yourself? So I feel like I've talked a whole lot. Xavier, I
Mhm.
would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear
Yes.
what's sitting with you. What are you thinking about?
Yeah. So just going through the floor check, um, there were for myself, in terms of just my journey, where I am today, right?
Yeah.
Um, there is self-medication, there's depression, and then for other, right, I just kind of wrote in my own. Um, I wrote in that I shut down, right? I
That's a
completely
good
just
one.
go offline and I'm just, I shut down.
Yeah.
Um, excuse me. So, and just thinking about, right, again, just the way that anger in the past, right, I've noticed that, just reflecting on my journey, right, when thinking about how anger showed up, there was lots of self-medication, right? Um, Using it as a way to just again numb out whatever I'm feeling, to kind of let loose, right, if you will. Oh, if we're not gonna be mad, let's drink until we just can't feel or we forget, right?
Right.
So there was definitely, a point in my journey where that was the case, right? There was so much, self-medication just as a form of, yeah, I don't want to feel any of this. um and I think with that, it came some of that depression, or feeling some of that sadness, deep sadness, right? I don't want to, I'm feeling unmotivated, I'm feeling hopeless, feeling helpless. um and with that, right, there's that shutdown. So for me, they all kind of intermingle, right? That they were in one way, shape, or form, they kind of came together where, um that was my way of really dealing with the anger, or the emotions, right? Whenever there was something that I didn't know how to deal with it, right? It's like I don't know what to do with this, so let's do what we can to not feel it, to not, we're
Right.
either gonna shut it down and just ignore it and suppress it with, substances and different things, right? Or where we get to a point where it's so much that we shut down and we're just gonna lay here for a good 2 days, or we're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna shower for today, tomorrow. So definitely those are some ways that I've noticed, right, within my journey, um where anger has expressed itself. I again, um we're all, right, still working and moving through our journey, right? And I understand, right, that I've grown in ways where there isn't the self-medication, right? Where there's, still some shut down moments where I just kind of shut down, or gravitate towards maybe another form of expression, right? It could be, um I'm looking at these, and whining and complaining, right? Pops up, right? There's moments where you're so angry and you don't realize you're angry, but you're just complaining and whining about, I don't want to do this and this. And I found that, that is present in itself, right? And I say all of that to say that, these things are so interwoven. Um and that, even if we navigate and stray away from one, and we grow, out of one thing, right, we can grow grow into something else, right? That there's that
That's
opportunity, right?
right.
And that is 100% okay. Like that is just the cycle of life and maneuvering through things, right? That we begin to realize that, oh, this is, as we heal from one thing, we begin to see that there are other aspects, right, that are needing to be healed as well, right? So it's like, yeah, you may have healed or have worked through and grown through the self-medication, but now you're noticing this anger is coming out in some whining and complaining. Let's explore this and see where that goes, right? And then you may notice once you're done with that one and work through that, you notice the resentment. So just know,
Mm.
relatives, that it's truly um a journey, right? That it's really a journey that it's never ending. As much as we're like, we just want, we want to get to a place where we're healed and we're good and life is rainbows and sunshines and birds, but it's like, it gets to a point where you see that more than you see the hurt and the pain, right? And that it's truly a journey that, we get to and navigate in a way that is right for our spirits. And
Mm.
um we have those people that will be along our journey to help us and guide us in ways that we need. So that's where my mind went when
Mm.
with all of that. And that's where I'm at.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Xavier. Thank you so much. And
You're
thank you
welcome.
for that reminder
Hmm.
of the journey. Because
Hmm.
it's so,
Hmm.
until you said that today, I was not really thinking about how, oh, yeah, so you start to heal and you're walking your healing journey and you work on a certain aspect of life and your internalness and what it might be your emotions, it might be anger, it might be eating, it might be whatever, who knows, right? It might be substances. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I feel pretty good about that. And it's like, well, where'd that come from? Now there's something else
Yeah.
popping up. Who the heck brought this in?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just part of the journey.
Mhm.
Um thank you for being, thank you for bringing your vulnerability and your voice into this space. We need to hear that. We need to hear each other's story and hear what each other is going through. For myself, I'll just say real quick, um I probably have experienced every single one of these things on my journey, every single one and more. I mean, yelling is not even on here. Yelling was something that I grew up with, hearing a lot of yelling. And so then I became someone who yelled. And I look back at life and I think about the transformation that has happened in my life. I can't even imagine myself anymore being someone who just yells and screams at someone because I'm so angry. I just can't. I don't know. I do still get angry sometimes, but it has a different energy, which I love that Leah taught us that. I mean, I know she has said that to me before, and I love that she has said that because that sits with me always. That we are able to put different energy into these different things that happen in life. So if something happens that upsets us, maybe instead of it being that we're angry, it's like, well, now my energy is shifting. Now I'm a little like either I'm just questioning like what happened. Not understanding. So maybe I'm a little confused. I don't know. I might not be confused, or I might be confused, or I might just have questions, or I might be like, that actually hurt my feelings. And I'd like to talk about that. Instead of being like angry, I'm angry now and I'm going to yell, or being angry about stuff that you don't have to be angry about. I remember being angry about things that like literally meant nothing. And I didn't take time to slow down to understand that not everything in the world is so serious that I need to have some sort of reaction to it. Why am I putting my energy into that? That makes no sense. And so I was like expelling so much negative energy and thus receiving more negative energy. It was like this cycle of like, experienced trauma, but then getting angry and then having other things happen and then throwing out anger. And then it was coming back at me and it was going like, over and over again. And for me, um, the healing started when, well, there was a couple things that happened. I removed myself from unhealthy relationships. And I also let go of substances. And I started to see myself, my real self, and allowed myself to feel the really uncomfortable feelings. Because let me tell you, I had days that were really uncomfortable and thought it would be very much better if I just wasn't here. I don't want to feel this anymore. Whatever this is, no. I'm saying NO in big capital letters. I don't want it. So I had plenty days like that. And over time, working through therapy, working on my self care, working on compassion for myself, working on loving myself, it got better. It got better each time. Each time. And when I learned how to slow down, I know I've joked about this before, but I learned how to slow down so good that I couldn't be around people who talk too fast. I'd be like, what is wrong with this person? Why are they talking so fast? I can't translate. I like to joke about that because I mean, I can handle it now, but there was a time where I was like, look, my therapist has helped me figure out how to really slow down, and you are way too much for me.
Doing way too much.
John, what are you thinking about with the workbook? Anything at all? Is there anything sitting? I would love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think at some point in my life, I've experienced all of this emotion that
Yeah.
we just kind of talked about, of how different forms of anger it's shown. And like Xavier said, it's a journey. And along your journey, sometimes you overcome one type of, anger and then replace it with another type of anger. And then you're consistently replacing those type of anger with something else. And we're still on a journey, and we may look calm and seem like we have it together, but we still have anger.
We
We're just
still
like
have days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that it's so important to understand that we're calm, but we still have days where we are frustrated, we are angry. We're still a work in progress. So there's still some of these that like, for example, sometimes it really pushes me to want to go back to old behaviors. And these old behaviors, because you're so used to it, it's like your natural toolbox. But it's so important to really have that moment to just sit and think about it. Because I think that oftentimes when you're not able to recognize your anger, you react. And when you react, whatever is in your toolbox that you're used to pulling from your toolbox, it's going to come out. And it might be rage, and it might be physical or whatever. So that's why, we talk about, that calm and just relaxation and just kind of taking a step back and thinking about it before you usually feel some type of way, or you kind of know when you start pushing towards that anger. And I think it's so important to recognize that, oh, I know something's going to trigger me to go back to those bad behavior, and really taking a step back and using those new coping skills to really kind of help with that too. And that's something that it's not easy. I used to just be very reactive about my anger. Someone pisses me off, I'm going to react however I want to react. And that's something that, I still work with. Sometimes it challenges me. And it's something that, you learn to just pull back. Or if you start noticing your body reacting a little bit differently, pay attention to that. And I think that's so important, paying attention to how your body is reacting and then responding to that. And I think we mentioned a lot about being kind to yourself. Just because oftentimes we forget about that, and taking care of yourself. And like what Jamie mentioned earlier, not everything needs a reaction. You're gonna choosing your battles. can't be a social media warrior or whatever every day. As much as we want to, sometimes you just don't have the time, the energy, or that you're not in that space to, have that conversation at this time. And it's okay. Just really understanding that about yourself. But I think that's so important to really be in tune with your body and knowing your body,
Absolutely.
and then exploring how to cope once you start feeling, you know, feeling a way of, anger. Just kind of really process, sit back and think about it, and just understand that you are in control. Um, and, you have the decision, you make the decision. You don't always have to react what your mind is telling you. Oftentimes, people would think that they have no choice. You do have a choice.
Right.
Sometimes the choice may seem very slight, or it may seem like it's near impossible, but we still have that choice. And I just love that. We're still in control as much as sometimes we feel like we don't have control.
Right. Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you so much, John. Thank you for sharing, being vulnerable, talking about your own story. Yes, we needed to hear all of that. All of that. And I think it is worth mentioning again how much our body is connected to everything. That we are not just wandering around. We're not just wandering around like I don't even know what the words I'm looking for right now, but our body is telling us things all the time. And so what I'm thinking about right now is how important it is to slow down so that we can hear our body telling us things and we can feel our body telling us things. When I say hear, I'm really talking about like just feeling, being aware of what's happening with us internally. I can remember, I can recall doing a lot of work, spending hours and hours and hours practicing slowing myself down and rewinding the tape moment by moment. And then what happened? Well, what happened right before then? Okay. And then what happened right before then? Okay. And then what happened before that? Okay. Not everybody is ready to do that, and that's okay. It's okay. If we're not in a space where we're ready to really sit and reflect on rolling the tape back, then we're just gonna sit and we're just gonna deep breathe. We're just gonna practice our breath, and that's it. Maybe we'll take some sips of water. We might do a breathing exercise where we're just gently sitting however we want. Maybe we'll close our eyes and we'll breathe in for 4 through our nose, 4 counts. And when we breathe out, we're breathing out for 6. And maybe that's all we do. Every time we feel like we're angry. If we get angry, maybe that's the only thing we do is we just find a place to sit, get ourselves comfortable, even as angry as we are, and we just breathe. That is it. And it is perfectly okay, and it's actually a beautiful thing if that is the one thing that you take out of today, is just doing some deep breathing. That's it. It doesn't have to be a miraculous, big, huge step, because guess what? None of our healing journeys happened in big, huge steps. They happened in little micro steps. It happened where it was like one day after us taking time to really practice our breathing and slowing down, we noticed that something was said that normally got us instantly angered, to where we were kind of like, and we just looked instead of saying anything. It was just a look, like, I noticed that I don't like that, and I'm feeling some sort of way, but I'm not yelling about it. I just looked. Look at how much pause had to happen for you to be able to be in the moment, be angry, but it was just a look. I just turned and looked instead of I was really angry and I yelled something out. And then it might be, oh, I notice like my hands are starting to sweat. My hands are sweating. I'm feeling hot. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable right now. I'm getting very uncomfortable with this conversation, or I'm getting very uncomfortable with this situation, whatever it is. So see, the more that we slow down, the more that we just practice the deep breathing, the more we're able to recognize what's really happening with us. Because our body is going to give us a signal. We all are walking around with energy, and everything else has energy. So as we are entering situations, or we are in conversations, we are absorbing one another's energy. And there's so much more to get into that. But just as a very simple thing, there's all kinds of energy happening around us. And so our body is talking to us, and our body is saying, hey, something right here I don't like so much. Maybe we should back away, and maybe we should set up a boundary. Maybe we need a boundary right now. And when we refuse to listen to our body, and sometimes it's not because we're refusing. In my case, straight up, I was just refusing to listen. I had a serious problem. I was sassy. I was not listening. But sometimes we just don't notice because of whatever our experiences were, what our environment was when we were growing up. We just didn't learn that. It's okay. Okay. You know, I think what would be beautiful is, Xavier, would you mind walking us through, like, us doing a deep breathing?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I love it.
It's putting me on the spot.
Xavier, this is you all day, every day.
Spot.
You can do this.
All right, relatives. So if you would ever so be so kindly in joining us, if you feel comfortable, if you feel the need, so grab whatever you need, get into a comfortable position, whatever that feels for you, standing, sitting, laying down. And then what we're gonna do is just gonna close our eyes or leave them open, completely up to you. We're just gonna tune into our bodies right now. Just notice what you're feeling. Are you feeling tension in your neck, in your shoulders? Notice how you feel in your stomach, in your legs, in your feet. Just take a mental note. What are you noticing right now in your body? And then I want you to begin to just envision a bright white light just all around you. As you breathe in for 4, exhale for 6, just envision a bright, warm light just surrounding you. begin to just breathe into those spaces where you feel the tension. Just invite that warm, healing light into those spaces. Breathing in for a count of 4 and exhaling for a count of 6. Breathing in that warm, healing light into those spaces where you feel tension, any worry or hurt. And then just breathing out that tension, that worry and hurt. We're going to do this for 2 more breaths. And whenever you're ready, relatives, you can begin to bring yourself back into this space. Feel your back against the chair, the floor, the bed. Stretch your neck. Wiggle the toes. Wiggle the hands. Slowly begin to come back to this space whenever you're ready.
That was wonderful. That was really amazing, Xavier. Miigwech, thank you.
Thank you.
That was wonderful. And I have to share this with you that as we were doing that exercise, I realized towards the last 2, when you said we had 2 more to do, I realized that I don't really remember the other. I know I was doing it. I know I
Right.
was doing it. But I was really very relaxed. And so just allowing whatever needed to happen.
Right.
So wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Relatives, I hope that that was wonderful for you as well. Remember to be gentle and kind with yourself. We are all walking a journey. And COVID-19 has not helped us at all, right? I mean, wait, let me back up. So there has been some
Yeah.
things that have been helpful. We've slowed down. We've been
Yep.
made to slow down.
Mhm.
So that's a positive. We've been forced to reflect a bit, which has been positive. And I also understand that there's been hard times too, because some of us are in spaces where maybe we're not feeling safe and we have nowhere else to go. So I understand that that's hard. And I want to remind you, relatives, that if any of you are out there, you are struggling, you are unsure what to do about whatever it is that you're struggling with, you can call our Cares Warm line. I also want to remind you that it's not a crisis line. So if you are in crisis, if you are feeling like you are going to harm yourself or others, call one of the crisis hotlines or 911. That's important to distinguish. There's a difference between feeling really uncomfortable and man, I'm angry and I feel like I'm dealing with a lot of rage and I'm using a lot of substances, or I'm just not feeling good. I'm really depressed and anxious. There's a difference between that. That would be something you could call the Cares Warm line. And there's a difference something else where it's like you're really like, I'm so hopeless that I'm harming myself and I don't know what to do anymore. I can't take it. Then I want you to call crisis lines. Get a hold of someone. We are here for you, relatives, and we will be here every Friday. A reminder that if there's anyone out there who is interested in an emotional sobriety support group, a private support group, you let us know, because we are working on plans for that in the summertime. We will be going live through, is it through May? Is that what we're doing? I forget what
I think it's
or is
April 30th.
April 30th.
Yep,
Okay,
April 30th.
yep. So we will meet here every Friday live until April 30th, through April 30th. And then we'll have a short break, and we'll prepare for a private support group for emotional sobriety. So again, relatives, it would be a free support group. All of our services are free. You don't need insurance. Just let us know. Just reach out. My final words to you today are that you are already filled with the medicine and the love that you need to get through. You really are. So I hope today that you take moments to laugh, to cry if you need to relax, take a nap if you need to, watch a movie, just sit there and watch Netflix for a while if you need to, make something yummy and eat it if you need to. Don't forget to drink your water and deep breathe. Don't forget to tell someone you love them. Start with yourself. Tell yourself that you love yourself. Those are my final words. Xavier? Nope. Yes, Xavier. We're just in the moment. We're just in the moment. Xavier, we need to hear from you.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for your words. My final words, just be kind to yourself, relatives. Know that, as always, everything is a journey. And what I'm really resonating with is to slow down and give ourselves permission to slow down, and know that that can look so many different ways. As Jamie said, if it's watching Netflix for a few hours, if it's, playing video games. I don't know how many gamers we have out there. Do your thing, game for a while. But yeah, taking that opportunity to just kind of give ourselves that permission to slow down, and to really be kind to ourselves. My challenge to everyone is to, if you're comfortable, right, to just look yourself in the mirror and just smile.
Aww.
So that's my challenge until we meet again next Friday. I thank you all for being here, and allowing us to just continue to build this community of wonderful, thriving spirits. So thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Xavier. John, do you have any final thoughts for us today?
Yeah, thank you so much, Xavier and Jamie, for sharing your voice. And I just wanted to say thank you, relatives, for always joining us every Friday. Whether you comment or not, that's your choice. It's up to you. We encourage that you share, but you don't have to share. Sometimes it's just great to just listen to others talk and absorb that. And, we appreciate you joining us every week. And I just wanted to echo what Jamie and Xavier said, taking that time for yourself. And maybe even during your busy week or weekend, if you're working on the weekend, just taking even 2-3 minutes of just deep breathing, that relaxation. I know it may seem impossible because you have so much going on, but just that 2 or 3 minutes of deep breathing, or whatever works best for you, just taking just a few moments to really take a step back and just relax and reflect really does go a long way. Just being kind to yourself.
Mhm.
And I'm one of those gamers, Xavier. So I love
There you
gaming.
go, John.
It's one of my plans for the weekend for
Got it all figured
self-care.
out.
Yes.
There you go.
It's just one of many. And for the relatives out there who, you know, you struggle with coming up with something for self-care, it can be as simple as maybe listening to music. Um, or even cooking can be very relaxing. Cooking and listening to music. It can be as simple as the daily task that you're already doing, and you may not even realize that. You know, it's so simple because oftentimes people think of like, what are some of my self care? It doesn't have to be extravagant or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Mm-hmm.
the daily tools that you already have, and you just don't recognize it yet.
Right.
And taking that time to reflect, and if you can't find one, think about the basic things that you do on a regular basis that brings you that calm, even for a few minutes. That few minute really goes a long way.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Thank you, John. Relatives, we are sending you so much love, and we will see you again next week, Friday, same time, 4:30 ish. We'll see you, relatives. Big Wubman.